If you or someone you know has diabetes, you may have built up an extra supply of test strips and lancets. That's where we come in. We'll buy the supplies that you don't need and resell them to those in need to prevent waste. Help us make diabetes management more affordable. Visit us at teststripswithaz.com.
We have Cody Stamann back on the show. A very interesting turn of events on Saturday in Washington, D.C. It took on Song Yadong. It was a good back and forth fight, some early controversy, and in the end, a lot more controversy as it ended in a majority draw. And I'm happy to have the Spartan back on to talk all about it. How are you, Cody?
I'm great. I mean, all things aside, I didn't take any serious damage in that fight. You know, I got a black eye, some cuts and scrapes, things that'll heal, you know, in a week. So in this business, count your blessings, because it can always be a lot worse.
That's a good point. And I guess my first question is, I know you weren't thrilled with the results and the judges' scorecards on Saturday. You felt you had done enough to win that fight. I know a lot of others did as well. A little less than 48 hours later, how does it all feel?
Well, you know, so I've watched it several times now, and I don't even see how you could have given him one round, honestly. I felt like I probably won every round just because there wasn't anything significantly happening on our feet. He'd hit me, I'd hit him. He'd march me down, I'd march him down, I'd take him down. You know, the best thing that he did in that entire fight was you know, kind of just halt me in a couple spots where he was holding on to a choke and threatening. And we were kind of at standstills. He got a reversal toward the end of the second. But for the most part, I dominated a guy that, you know, I was a 2-1, you know, underdog against. Again, you know, another guy that's up and coming, supposed to kick my ass. We go out there. I get my hands on him. Shit doesn't go the way he wanted it to. And I win. And it's sad that, you know, the judge's decision is kind of overshadowing the fact that I just went out and beat a guy that no one's even been able to touch in the UFC. You know, this guy has starched everyone. You know, one guy made it to decision, and that guy got his ass beat for 3 rounds. You know what I mean? And I just went and completely shut this guy down. Nothing people are talking about is the decision. And I think the focus needs to be, I'm a bad motherfucker.
You know, it's one thing to be in the cage and sort of feel what's happening in there, see what's in front of you, but watching it back on TV, did you feel even more so like you had won the fight? Did you feel like you won more on Saturday when you were in the cage, or going back and watching it?
Going back and watching it. So I look at things subjectively. I'm looking at things. I feel like I could have done a lot more. I could have made that gap a lot bigger. There's definitely more I could have done, but I fought very, very smart. I didn't get hit with any big right hands or any big shots, period. I did my job, and I did it well. And what else? You know, what else can I say? I definitely think there's always more to do. There's always a better version of myself. But there was no question, you know, after I watched it and after I fought, that like I knew I won. I'm still sitting here today, like, and I'll never in my life go back and say, well, I thought he won round 2, or I thought he won round 1. I thought I won every round. I don't even think that. I think that it's a fact. I mean, and I think that, you know, 3,000 messages that I woke up to, even today, you know, people are still like, dude, worst shit I've ever seen, worst call I've ever seen. And, you know, the overwhelming, it'd be different if it was like 50-50. Then I'd be like, maybe people are right. You know, it's more like 1,000 people say, dude, I'm so sorry for what's happening to you. And one guy's like, dude, I'll choke you out. You're a pussy. You know what I mean? Like, that's pretty much the what's happening on Twitter right now. I mean, but I guess I just got to use it. I got to use it to my advantage. I got to use this, you know, moving forward. I'm healthy, and I'll get back in there super early 2020.
Yeah, I think most of the MMA media would agree with what everyone's telling you, because MMA Decisions is a website where the media will score the fight, and 10 people had scored it for you. 4 of them had it 30-26. 2 were at 29-26. The other 4 had it at 29-27, which, it's hard for me to, I'm more of an interview guy. I'm not like a X's and O's guy. I scored at 29-27 for you as well on Twitter Saturday night. 4 of the other media members said it was a draw. I'm clearly not a judge, but I had scored it for you. So getting those messages and seeing what the media says about it and all that stuff, is it even more frustrating to see those messages? And, it's one thing to lose a fight. It's another to like have that performance feel like you won and then not getting your hand raised at the end of it. Like, how frustrating is this all for you?
Well, it's more frustrating. It's more frustrating to win a fight and not get the credit. I think definitely. I am frustrated. I'll be frustrated about this till the day I die. I believe that 100%. But I've been in spots like this before. I've been in spots like this where I felt like I won all 3 rounds and I actually lost the fight, and that stung a lot worse than this. And I'll get over this. You know what I mean? It's just going to make me better as an athlete. And like I said, I'm healthy. Like, this is all going to be irrelevant in a few months because I'm going to go starch another dude. And I'm pissed. I'm pissed. And it's the age old saying, like, don't leave it in the hands of the judges. Well, I had every tool and opportunity to go out there and finish him. I could have finished Song Yadong. I think I bought a little bit too much into the hype of how hard he hit, and damn, the kid does hit hard. I mean, he would hit me in the shoulder, and I could feel it. Like, you could just tell. You could tell, like, he's the hardest hitting person I've ever seen at 135 pounds. I've ever shared the cage with. The kid has a special power, and I heard that, and I knew that going into this fight, so I knew I had to fight him a certain way. And I came out and did exactly what I had to do to win. So I'm proud of myself. And moving forward, I'm gonna knock the fuck out of the next guy I fight. I'm knocking him out. I promise you right now. I'll bet my entire fight first. I'll bet my house. I'll bet everything I own on that. Like, I'm gonna kill somebody in 2020, and then people can talk about that.
We saw the illegal knee in the first round, and Song lost a point. He's clearly didn't mean to do it unless he's the greatest actor in the history of the sport. But you jumped right back up. Did that knee have any effect on you at all?
Yeah, it's mainly just pissed me off. Honestly, I'm sure it would probably, had I just been at training and someone kneed me in the forehead while I was, in the front headlock position, yeah, I mean, it probably would have hurt. But in the fight, with how much adrenaline you have going, I didn't feel it. I just remember being pissed when it happened. Like, you little bastard! Like, why would you do that? And I was ready to, come back and go after him after that.
What did people say to you in the back? I'm sure you talked to Shelby, maybe Maynard as well, other members of the UFC brass. What was their takeaway from that fight?
So I talked to Shelby. And I think he told me the best thing that he could have told me. He was like, dude, I know, I know that you could have done more. I know you could have done more. Nobody gave me a definitive answer how it was going to shake out. I think everyone knows I won. And now I'm in the driver's seat. I'm going to be able to choose my next fight. But everyone, and I think people in the MMA community are maybe like, they got to understand this isn't the UFC's fault. This isn't Dana White's fault. This isn't Sean Shelby's fault. This has nothing to do with them. This is judges that made a bad call. So this has nothing to do with the UFC brass. Obviously, these guys know what I'm capable of. They know that I can go out and finish fights. And, for me to have kind of a shitty performance and not pull the trigger as much as I should have, I guess I just got to get back on the wagon and go kill somebody in 2020.
There's options for you for sure. I mean, Font had a lot to say about you last week. He had a win over Ricky Simone. Of course, there's that looming fight right now with Sandhagen sitting there next month. He's supposed to fight Frankie Edgar, and now who the hell knows what's going to happen with that now that he's going to fight the Korean Zombie next weekend. If anybody can bounce back a month later, it's Frankie Edgar, but Father Time catches up with us eventually, so who knows what happens there. So what's your thought process on the what's next after Saturday night?
So Jason and I have been talking about this, and we're gonna Jason House and I, and we're gonna meet this week, and we're gonna iron down. We're gonna have someone 100% that is gonna be the next opponent. Font still kind of in the same place. Like, yeah, I'll fight Rob Font, but I wasn't impressed with what he did Saturday night. I thought he was exactly the same guy I've seen Rob Font be, and honestly, I fought a lot tougher guy than Rob Font this weekend. I fought a guy that can shut your lights off like with either hand, at any point. Font's not that guy. Font's a ranging guy that picks guys apart at range. But I mean, I would never be there for him to hit me. He's I don't know. He's, like I said, he's irrelevant. And they're a bigger fish to fry.
At the end of the day, you felt like you won. A lot of other people would agree with you. You fought. You didn't get your hand raised. You didn't get that moment after the fight. Is there any interest in running that one back? Like, are you fulfilled with everything there?
No, not now. Not now. Listen, Song Yadong is tough. He's really, really good. The kid can scrap. I'm going to see him again. I'm sure I'm going to fight him again. Because we're both going to do well, and we're going to end up at the top. And he's 22, and I'm 30. That's it. That's a young killer. That's a young killer, and he's going to be around long after I'm gone. So I'm sure I'll see him again. It's not gonna be like an immediate rematch, but I feel like I need to fight him again today. Like, let him go knock a couple dudes out. Let me knock a couple dudes out, and then maybe a few years down the road, I see him again. He was gracious and very respectful. He told me like straight up that I was the strongest dude that's ever grabbed a hold of him inside the cage, and like he was very complimentary. He's a good kid. He's got a bright future. But no, I have no interest in an immediate rematch. There's 20 good guys that I could fight at bantamweight. Why run it back with him?
Any discussion? I don't know if this is more of a Jason House question. Any discussion on some extra shekels in your pocket? I mean, especially if most people think that you won, is the UFC thinking about taking care of you? Not that they have to in this circumstance, because it is what it is. It was a majority draw, but has there been any discussion about that at all?
No, not really. I'm sure. I'm sure in one way or another, I'm gonna get my money back. You know what I mean? It'll all come full circle. I know that it always does. And the UFC takes good care of their guys, and I'm not as worried about it as I was, after talking with Sean and after talking with Jason and talking with everyone. I'm in the driver's seat. I can decide who I fight next, because I did just take a super dangerous fight and I won. So there's a lot of positive things that are coming out of Saturday night, and I'm just excited to get back in there. This is 100% what I do, and if I let a speed bump like Saturday night, throw me off course, or get my my feathers ruffled for more than a day, I don't deserve to be here anyways. Obviously, I'm not grateful enough for the opportunities that I have, for what the UFC's presented me. I'm just looking forward to what's next. Saturday night. I mean, like you said, everyone knows I won. I know I won. Let's move forward and kick the shit out of the next guy.
If you could be on the panel to change the way judging in this sport goes down, like, what needs to change in your opinion? Like, I was watching the Patriots game yesterday. They were playing the Chiefs, and the referees, they even have like New York. They can go to New York and look at replays, and they still screwed a couple of things up yesterday. Maybe I'm just a bitter Patriots fan at the end of the day. But there's things that need to change there. There's clearly things that need to change in this sport. What would you change? Like, what would you do differently if you had a say in this?
So if I had to say, I think you go to some of these provinces like Washington, D.C., like, how many fights do these guys really judge? You know what I mean? Like, how many fights do they really judge? And I think when we're talking about guys in the UFC, guys like me, like, this is like, you got some guy that's literally judged 50 fights, 20 fights, 30 fights, who knows? Small number, not enough to be qualified to be judging fights at this level. And that's not anyone's fault, but the individual athletic commissions. They just don't have the people there to really, that have the experience that can really actually judge an MMA fight. They don't even know what the hell they're watching. You know what I mean? They have a very skewed and amateur perspective of what MMA is. So, you know what I mean? If I went for a submission, or some guy went to, buck me off in some position, they would have no idea what's going on. You know what I mean? They're looking at it and basically they're looking at it in like a PG-13 filter, and this is an X-rated film. They don't know what the hell is going on. So I mean, but how do you change that? How do you change that? I mean, there's not going to be MMA experts in every state and that want to be judges. So it's a really, really complicated problem, and there's no easy solution. I guess just fight more in Las Vegas, fight more in places that you're gonna have better judging and more experienced people. Or the UFC has to hire their own panel of judges, but that really is going to be conflicting with the athletic commission. So yeah, I'm sure the UFC's thought about this, and they've thought about this in plenty of different places, because I mean you'll see a card that's in Canada or Brazil, and you're just like, who in the hell is judging these fights? And I'm sure the UFC brass is thinking the same thing. They're like, dude, who the hell is judging these fights? This is making us look bad. And what people don't understand is it's not the UFC's fault. Like they literally, you know what I mean? They pick the venue somewhere, and then the athletic commission is hired by it's a governing body. Like they don't have control over that. They don't have control over who they use. So. Yeah, like I said, complicated problem, no easy solution.
I always felt like, I'm sure, I don't know how many judges are in each state and things like that, but I'm sure there's like a dozen or so that probably kind of interweave in and out. I always looked at it should be like a juror selection type thing. You sit them all down, you ask them appropriate questions, maybe make them watch a couple of fights, and then you can kind of narrow down who should be sitting in those seats. But like you said, there's just so much, that goes into all of this. But last thing before we let you go, man, not long before we connected, I do what I normally do and scroll through social media, and you had posted like minutes before I connected with you on Facebook. And one of the things that stuck out in what you posted was that one of your big goals for this sport is to help your mom retire early. And obviously, the more you fight, the more opportunities you're going to have to make that happen. What would that mean to you to be able to accomplish that goal?
Well, that's the goal, right? I mean, it's one thing to be able to do this and to, buy yourself nice shit. I have nice shit. I have a nice truck. I have nice everything. Everything that I enjoy doing, I have the top and the nicest of everything. You know what I mean? And like, you get to a point where it doesn't matter anymore. You know what I mean? You buy a new whatever it is, it means absolutely nothing. And and the real worth and all this is like sharing it with the people that you care about. And of course, I want to see my mom and dad retire. They're good people. They've worked their whole lives to give me opportunities, and I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for all their hard work and sacrifice throughout my life. These people sat in wrestling stands for 10 years of my life. They drove me to 5 different practices a night for years. So my parents and family have sacrificed so much for me to be here. So I just want to give back. I mean, that's all it is. Anything that I make, is going towards that goal. It's going towards, not only, my parents retiring, but, putting my little sister through a doctorate degree, things like that. These are the goals that I have, where my goals used to be when I was a young kid, like, hey, I want to have a nice house. Well, I got a nice house now. I want to have a nice truck. And it's like, you realize that shit doesn't mean anything. It's the bigger things in life. It's helping the people that you care about that really matters. And, that's part of growing up. And, I've unfortunately and fortunately done a lot of growing up these past few years. So yeah, the goals are big, and they're family oriented, and they're going to happen.
Well said, man. I appreciate it.
Dead bodies in the cage from now on.
Well, there you go. That'll lead to better things for you. I mean, maybe tough to look at, but at the end of the day, it all works out for you and your family, and I think that's fantastic. And I always appreciate the time, Cody. I'm sure there's 10,000 other things you would rather be doing than talking about this fight on Saturday. But
no, I want to talk about it. Actually, I really want to talk about it. Yeah, I definitely had some things I needed to get off my chest. So no, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So. Like I said, I had scored the fight for you. I thought you deserved that moment, but this is, like you said, a very wacky sport that we're involved in, and this is just another example of that. But before we let you go, man, anything else you want to get off your chest that you didn't get to say? The floor is yours. Any shout outs, things like that?
No, I'm super thankful for everyone that reached out to me. the fans, I didn't even understand. I didn't even know I had fans, let alone how many people that just came out and really like thought out, and not just, hey, I thought you won your fight, man, that was bullshit. Like, I mean, people were writing like legit things, paragraphs, and they were very kind and thoughtful, and I'm very thankful for all of that, because it does make me feel better. It makes me feel like I'm not alone in this, and I say we're going to the top, and it's a speed bump. We'll be there. We'll be there real soon.
Thanks again, man. Enjoy the holidays, and we look forward to seeing what's next for you in early 2020, man. Thanks again.
Heck yeah, thank you.